Hey, what's up? So if you play Fallout 76, you probably noticed some maintenance rolled through on March 17 to drop a focused hotfix, patch 2.21. The headline here is that the patch concentrated on a handful of community-reported problems, with a big chunk of the effort going into the Pip-Boy experience. A lot of the things people were complaining about, shortcuts for dropping items not working, the expected B key bind, not closing the Pip-Boy, weird scrolling behavior that wouldn't wrap back to the top, inventory sorting, resetting after you exit the Pip-Boy, deployed power armor ending up in your stash if you use the new tab, and missing item stats in the item tab have been addressed, which should make inventory management feel less like a hassle and more like something you can do without a mini heart attack. These fixes were specifically listed in the patch notes the community grabbed the moment the servers came back up. On the gameplay side, the team fixed an interaction where the chainsaw flamer was registering hits faster than intended and therefore dealing more damage than it should have. That's the kind of timing issue that can unbalance a build or make certain enemies melt too quickly. They also patched a strange case where reflected damage could instantly kill the Scorchbeast Queen. Not only is that wild from a lore and fairness perspective, it could break the intended flow of that encounter, especially for folks trying to extract DNA for the Heart of the Enemy daily mission. And those fixes were called out in the notes and should reduce some of the more bizarre one-shot scenarios players were seeing. There's also a small but important UI tweak for PC players. The keybind to open the season menu pop-up has been changed from Control to Y. It's the kind of tweak you notice the first time you try to open the menu and nothing happens, then realize why everyone kept hitting the wrong key. The renaming and clarifying of some mutation effect names happened as part of that polish pass, so that what you read in-game lines up better with what the effects actually do. Those are tiny touches individually, but together they help reduce confusion when you're juggling builds and perks. The miscellaneous fixes are a mix of QOL and stability patches. Emotes, loot bags, and survival tents should no longer get unequipped every time you launch the game, which was a maddening reset for players who configure things carefully. The frequent waiting for response from server messages that would pop up even when servers were fine have been reduced, so the launcher and connections should feel less fidgety. The Scorchbeast Queen DNA extraction bug that blocked the Heart of the Enemy daily has been fixed, so you can actually complete that objective when you get the chance. And there were several crash fixes tied to scrapping legendary items and using workbenches, plus a fix for replica Pip-Boys not appearing in displays when placed. Collectively, these fixes are aimed at stopping the little interruptions that break immersion and grind. I know a lot of players will read this and think, cool, but will it actually change my day-to-day? And the honest answer is that these are the sorts of patches that matter when you're doing repeated chores, trading, scrapping, crafting, or running the same quest chain over and over. When your tools behave predictably, your sessions are more efficient, and the frustration tax goes down. That's the practical upside. Fewer random glitches, fewer lost minutes, and a smoother backlog of tasks in the Pip-Boy. The developers have been tracking community reports and rolling these targeted fixes out so that the game doesn't keep accumulating friction in those systems. It's also worth noting that this update felt intentionally limited in scope. There wasn't a new event or content drop tied to it, but that kind of discipline is useful when the goal is to stabilize and refine. Players often prefer a reliable set of mechanics over a flashy new feature if the baseline systems are acting up, and this patch looks like the team prioritized core functionality. That emphasis on quality of life and crash mitigation suggests the developers are listening to the community threads and picking off the highest packed problems first. For creators and streamers, these changes mean fewer interruptions during streams and less awkwardness when demonstrating inventory or power armor systems on camera. For solo players and groups alike, smoother Pip-Boy controls and fewer crashes simply make the experience feel cleaner. There are still going to be bugs. The game has a deep systems pile, but incremental patches like this one chip away at the recurring annoyances so that future content can land on a firmer foundation. Overall, the March 17 hotfix is a tidy, practical update that prioritizes stability, inventory usability, and a handful of gameplay fixes that were causing outsized problems. If you were hitting any of the specific issues mentioned, the Pip-Boy shortcuts, the B key not closing the menu, the chainsaw flamer hit timing, or crashes while scrapping legendaries, this patch is meant to directly address those pain points. The patch notes provide a straightforward list of what was fixed and why it matters, and for everyone who spent too long wrestling with their Pip-Boy, this should feel like a welcome bit of housekeeping from the studio. Bethesda.